We're live.
There we go. We're live. Um, Welcome back to Get a Grip on Lighting. On today's show, it is our great honor to be joined by the mighty and powerful Mark Baker of SoftLights Foundation. Go to softlights.org. You can go to restoringdarkness.com and click the donate link if you want to donate to Mark's work. And we're going to talk to him in a bit because he's a real badass in the lighting industry. So we'll be with him in a minute. But before we get there, Greg, I think we got to take it easy, keep it easy. Stay with the Big Easy down at KeystoneTech.com. That's KeystoneTech.com, Greg Ehrich.
Given we're on our farewell tour here, we're not going to talk about product on a lot of these sponsorships. We're going to talk about the company. And Keystone's been with us from the beginning, supported us, supported the mission we had, supported the lighting industry. And that's what it's all about. Is they're a great partner, a great company, great people, and all the product to go along with it, pricing, everything you need. They're the best. Keystone, man.
The Big Easy. KeystoneTech.com. That's the perfect name for them. Light made easy. Of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. If you have light bulbs in a warehouse, this is your association. Go to NAILD.org. Greg, we're going to go on a dark journey today.
Getting dark. All right, let's see what we got.
So you got to think way back to the pandemic. Okay?
Okay, yep, I remember it.
And it's 2020. Everybody's bored, right? There's no action. The convention is canceled. All you hear about is case rates. Remember that? How many people have COVID or whatever, right? And so I'm looking at the beautiful convention we planned in Mississippi that we were going to do and got canceled. And then everyone's, looking at each other. What do we do? So as a board at NAILD, we started talking about what is the biggest issue in the lighting industry other than DLC. Okay. So what is the biggest issue that we have? And it came out that it was dark skies at the time we called it. Now we have all sorts of different words for it: night preservation, night pollution. There's all sorts of different things as this thing has evolved. But I think at the time, Greg, we were the only association in lighting actually talking about this.
For sure. The lighting only association, there's other associations and groups that talked about it, but
Yes.
from a lighting standpoint, yes, we were.
And everyone kind of looked at us squirrely until on October 11th, 2020, Jane Slade appeared on Get a Grip on Lighting. And it was, we had met her previously at the IES convention the year before. She was very passionate about the issue. And so October 11th, 2020, she comes on Get a Grip on Lighting. By November 19th, 2020, she has a 6-part series on dark skies on the network where she is hosting people talking about the issue. And this is November 19th, 2020. So more than 5 years ago. And that series was called, I can't remember what it was called, Dark Skies or something like that. We went to the board. We said, this issue needs its own podcast. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we said, it's going to get sponsored. Don't worry. Just like Get a Grip on Lighting, right? And the NAILD board put up the money. And on February 12th, 2021, we launched Starving for Darkness. And by episode 5, April 28th, 2021, the National Lighting Bureau, the Illuminating Engineering Society, and the International Dark Sky Association all joined with NAILD as presenters of Starving for Darkness.
Yep, I do remember that.
Right? And so, this show was going nuts in the beginning. The downloads were huge, but we had trouble getting sponsors. In August 2021, for the production of the show, NAILD was entered into the IES Progress Report, which was a huge honor because it was the first media property ever to be entered in the Progress Report. And so for those that don't know what that is, it's kind of like awards, isn't it, Greg? It's some kind of award to have your product or service entered into that report.
Yeah, yep, that would be a fair way to put it.
Jane Slade became the sole host of Starving for Darkness in episode 23. And on January 25th, 2022, she also won. Jane Slade won Darkness Defender, the prestigious Darkness Defender Award from the International Dark Sky Association at the time, now Dark Skies. She took over sole hosting of the show on episode 23. And then on episode 35, she retired. And do you remember who hosted episode 36 of Starving for Darkness?
No, I couldn't tell you.
You don't remember that guy, Starlight Sanchez?
I do. I do.
So if you're listening to this and you want to go to restoringdarkness.com, we had a special host that came in for one episode of Starving, the last episode of Starving for Darkness. Starlight Sanchez, he's a great guy. He's out there somewhere. I don't know where he is right now, but he's super passionate about darkness restoration and night preservation, and he's also looks really cool. So Sanchez hosted the final episode of Starving for Darkness, at which point IES, NLB, and IDA decided to no longer be associated with the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went back to the board, and we had a conversation about, hey, this is not about Starlight, and it's not about Starry Skies. There's enough people in that space. We got to start looking down at this issue and into the at what is causing all the light pollution. And we changed the name to Restoring Darkness, and we kept it going, and NAILD paid for it even though it wasn't sponsored. And we had several different co-hosts along the way that went along with the show, and eventually we brought Mark Baker back. He was one of the people that supported the show in the beginning. And his organization, SoftLights, has done so much great work in this space, bringing awareness towards some of the damages that LEDs can do other than blurring our view of the stars. So we wanted to take the issue and change it from an astronomical issue into a lighting industry issue. And Greg, I think we've accomplished that.
I would say so. Yeah, it did take a change of direction, but in the right way. Something different. I know Mark's in a little different avenue than us. You don't always like all the stuff that's out there, and we get that and we respect it, and that's what these podcasts are about: is different opinions and hearing everybody's take on it. So I think it's been awesome.
And so with that, just to give some of the history of how we got here, Mark Baker, welcome to the finale series of Get a Grip on Lighting.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for introducing me.
Were you a listener or a viewer of the early episodes of Starving for Darkness? Did you follow the show?
I don't think I would say I'd follow it. Back at the time when you guys were doing this, I was still recovering from a mental breakdown. So I'm not sure that I was really actually capable of. I wasn't trying to be a dark sky advocate or trying to get into this industry. That wasn't my goal. I was just trying to recover from the impacts of LED lights. But I did watch a few of your shows with Jane Slade, and I was a guest, and I thought it was a really great show. That's for sure.
Yeah, we didn't release that one. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember that. But your mission, I was really impressed with the mission. And I said, wow, this is really something that needs to be happening. The rest of the world needs to be hearing what these people are saying.
And initially, because it's NAILD as a lighting industry association, and you are against LEDs. You're against the adoption of LEDs. You're against the rollout. You want it rolled back. Initially, you were suspicious. Over time, how did those suspicions get allayed?
Suspicious of what?
Well, you're suspicious of the lighting industry, and NAILD is part of the lighting industry.
Absolutely. Complete. Yeah, well, certainly LEDs came out and I ended up in the hospital. So, yeah, I would certainly be suspicious. So when I met you all, I had a high suspicion meter, that's for sure. So it took quite some time to follow and become to know you all and see that, wow, these people are in the lighting industry, but they're actually trying to fix things. And this is a group that I'd like to be associated with. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I still have suspicions of the lighting industry as a whole. I have suspicions of the government. I have suspicions of a lot of people because we're still working to try and fix this problem. But we are making progress.
Do you know what the problem is?
is so big. LEDs, the problem with LEDs is so large, right? So now, I mean, the idea was for energy efficiency, just to change the incandescent light bulb to an LED light bulb. That was the only goal. Then they ended up in street lights, and they ended up in car headlights, and they ended up in flashing lights on emergency vehicles and strip lights. And oh my gosh. So what happened is completely different than the goal. And now who wants to take charge of fixing it? Is there somebody out there that's stepping up and says, yeah, I'd like to fix that? So we haven't found really a champion in the United States government. That's one of the things we need. And as you know, the Food and Drug Administration is an agency that's their job, is to fix this problem.
It's their job. They don't know it's their job. Greg, would you say that largely most people in the industry are still ignoring or in denial of this issue?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about denying, but ignoring for sure. I think people see it and they understand that it's a problem. I got an email today from a school that has LEDs blaring straight out into the street, and now we got to go try to fix that, and glare shields and re-aim and all that. So yeah, it's an issue, but it gets ignored because nobody really monitors and tells you how you have to do things. You can kind of do what you want for the most part when it comes to outdoor lighting.
Yeah, do you remember, like, I don't recall. I mean, there always was metal halide projection floods, like the box fixtures with the reflector on the back, and you could point them in directions, stuff like that. But I don't remember people really deploying outdoor lighting like this until LED came along. Do you agree with that, Greg?
I would agree. Yeah, no, I think it was aimed better or something. Like, is it aimed worse? Is that our problem?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like,
Flexibility?
and I'm going
Oh,
to save this for the final episode on December 19th, most of it. But I have a hard time selling lighting in general now, but outdoor lighting particularly, because there seems to be this instinct where people think they can take a 300 watt or a 150 watt or a 200 watt uh, area flood and point it on a 45-degree angle, and that's good lighting.
that's exactly what the school example is. A huge area light flooding out at an angle.
Yeah, and they put them
Yeah.
on the wall of the building instead of putting
Yep.
poles in, right? Because
That's
poles are
exactly what they
expensive.
did.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And you can
Yep.
drive around Toronto, and sometimes you even see like wooden stakes in the ground with that rubberized cab tire or whatever going up the side. It's 8 feet
Mhm.
in the air, and there's just this projection flood almost shining straight across a parking lot or an area or something like this. And this is
Yep.
allowed, and nobody does anything about it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's
Is this a
unfortunate.
building codes? Is
What's
this a
that?
building codes issue then? Or is the failure of that? It just seems shocking to me that there wouldn't be some sort of codes that would specify, like the school example that Greg just talked about, that would specify, don't do that. That's not in the codes.
I would say the codes probably reference the standards, no, Greg?
Well, the codes at most are about light level measurement.
Mm.
It's not necessarily glare. They don't really have a way to say don't aim it at people or don't aim it where it blinds you. It's just you got to
That's
meet a certain foot candle threshold, and that's it.
exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
So we call that directly viewed light. That's something at the SoftLights Foundation that we're working on to get cities to adopt ordinances, and maybe we need to go into building codes. This directly viewed light hasn't been thought of, and LEDs now, with being so small and so intense, have now created this new problem.
And
Yeah.
if you took a metal halide and did that, or an HPS, it wouldn't be nearly as bad as an LED. Because first of all, you'd be very aware of how much energy you're using, right? So for a 300 watt LED, that's like a 1,000 watt halide, Greg.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And also, it seems to me that the glare from one of those area lights or projection floods or whatever you want to call it, Mark, is way worse than it was with halide and HPS. And I remember, installing metal halide systems in parking lots, Greg, and there was a big focus on taking the light source and recessing it so that you only saw reflected light and you did not
Hmm.
see the actual light source. That has been completely bulldozed by DLC, DLC standards and DLC. What do you call it? Their products list and their how they design lights.
QPL. Yeah.
QPL. I forgot already. But like, when did we get into the glare business? Like, that's what really. I mean, Mark has an issue with LEDs in general, but there's certainly a massive glare issue, and it hurts everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of LEDs being directional, I guess. When you look at the metal halide source is omnidirectional, and you're right, it was hidden and reflected.
Hmm.
And I look at like stadium lights now. We've done a fair amount of projects where we've converted HID to LED, and way more glary when you look up at them. Still, the LEDs are than metal halides. It's just for that factor that I think they were hidden and reflected. And I don't know. I guess you just can't do that with LED, or can't do it properly, or light enough, supposedly. But what's enough, Mark? There's never enough. It seems like that's the problem.
Never enough,
Everybody wants it.
never enough light.
Right. Everybody just needs it as bright as they can get it at all times, unfortunately.
Because almost every standard that I look at says you need a minimum foot candles or a minimum lux, right? Where's the
Yep, yep,
maximum? That's not in
exactly.
there. And so
Yep.
everything we're battling is for everything that I've come across is there's no maximum, and there is nothing. Do you guys come across this term luminance? That's the directly viewed light. Is there any
Yep.
standards, regulations for that? That's the thing that's really driving it. That it goes right into our eye. I was just sent a fascinating
That's called
photo.
glare. Like, when it goes right
Yeah,
into your eye, the light, when you should not be able to see a light source unless you go under a fixture and look up into it. But, the DLC changed that for everybody. They said you should be able to see a light source, and all that matters is lumens per watt, right?
how about
So,
that?
but what happens is, if your focus is solely on lumens per watt, then you take that array or the thing and you push it to the front of the fixture. That's exactly, and you do not shield it. You don't reflect it, because that is how you're going to create the most lumens per watt and the highest light output from the fixture. But unfortunately, there's all kinds of problems. Mark, what is the number one health issue? You've been running the SoftLights Foundation for 5 or 6 years now. What is the number one health issue that's reported to you by people that are complaining that the problems are caused by directly from LED lighting?
Well, the number one complaint we get, like, say, for example, on our LED incident reports on softlights.org, is about car headlights.
Mm.
So everybody's in America, there's something like 330 million people. So everybody's using a car, and at night now they're getting blinded by the glare issue. But there are many, many health issues that people write to us about, and a lot of neurological issues. People with astigmatism, that's another one for people that drive. That astigmatism, the glare is really causing problems. But then we also get a lot of reports of people getting migraines from LED lights, and then smaller reports of people suffering like electromagnetic radiation syndrome, things that make them feel nauseous, etc. But in general, the biggest problem with that the statistics show us that when we switched from standard lighting or traditional lighting, we are at 2% increase of light pollution per year. And then switching to LEDs, were especially blue rich, then it became 10% increase per year. So light pollution overall is the major problem, because so many health impacts from being exposed to artificial light at night. So increased risk of cancer and diabetes and heart disease and mood disorders and autism and premature births and early mortality. All that's related to light pollution. And now it's increasing at 10% per year. So that's truly the most important problem.
Yeah, over the years, Mark, or the time that you've done this podcast, has doing it helped the Soft Lights mission or your mission?
Ask me again, please. How does the podcast help?
Has the podcast helped you advance or move more further towards your mission, or help you with your mission?
Yeah, Restoring Darkness is great. So I'm not really a podcaster, right? So
No,
Michael invited me
same.
to join. You're the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really something to me. It was really scary to come on. And the first show was super scary. And I wrote notes to Michael, so preparing for what questions to ask. And it was really hard to talk about it because I was also learning about the issue at the same time. So, but over time, I got to meet so many people that are out there working to make the earth a better place. And that was really neat. So, and I learned every single show, I learned something new, right? About the physics of LEDs, about environmental protections, about the fellow that came on and told us about how moths are trapped by the light because they're trying to orient themselves by their backs to the light. Oh, so fascinating. And so it was really great. And then I would follow up and contact some of these people, and then we would develop a relationship. So I have many relationships now from that show. I'm going to, especially Larry Boxler came on the show recently to help us understand the physics. And now I collaborate with Larry all the time. He's an optical engineer and he designed LED headlights before. And I think he's trying to now help us correct the problems. And it's really great to be associated with him because he's explaining to us in detail. He knows the calculus, he knows the physics, and he's helping us correct our misunderstandings of LED lights.
Well, that's good.
The Greg, should the industry be stepping back and saying, is it time to bring back other light sources?
Should they, or I mean, should, sure, but will they? No, unfortunately, I don't know that it's too far along. Like, I don't know how you could, go back to, like, some of the light sources are gone. They're not produced anymore. So you're going to restart those production lines. I think everyone will see it as regressing rather than progressing, even though there are issues. I think you just have to work with what you have and try to make it better, as best as we can. And I hope we can get to that point.
Hmm.
Should they not bring back those, Greg? Shouldn't they? Isn't there an opportunity now to bring back high pressure sodium or incandescent lights? For example, in the United States, Senator Mike Lee from Utah has introduced the Liberating Incandescent Technology (LIT) Act. He wants to eliminate the Department of Energy's effective ban on incandescent light bulbs. So shouldn't somebody be stepping into this vacuum and saying, bringing back these kind of technologies that used to work?
I think
Uh,
there's a difference
yeah,
between incandescent and HPS, Greg. I think those two are two different questions.
yeah. I mean, I like the HPS is very different. I think it's just a matter of manufacturing it at some point is going to be difficult because I don't even know where they make them anymore. And incandescent, yeah, I could see an angle there, but again, like if you're making a product, are you going to sell more because of it? You might be the only one selling it, and you can sell something, or can you sell LED what everybody else is and sell more? Does that make sense? I think you could be the last person standing in incandescent and get some business, sure, or you could make LED like everybody else and maybe get more business. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think you can do both as a commercial
Yeah.
businessman or businesswoman. You could have both lines. I still think the biggest problem that we face, Mark Baker, is that the issue is dominated by astronomy and starry skies and stuff like that, and people don't see that the night is polluted by wasted light. They don't see that as pollution. It's still a metaphor to people, and I like that. I don't know when the watershed moment will be when this issue is in the same conversation with plastics in the ocean and
Mm.
carbon change or climate change or whatever they call it today. And those issues. I mean, you could probably do something about plastics in the ocean, but climate change. It seems like one of those things that uh, we're hurtling towards it no matter what. If it, whatever the impacts are going to be. But light pollution can be managed locally. Light pollution can be fixed in areas and it be permanently gone forever, Mark. And I don't understand the reticence of the industry and our municipal governments and everyone else to tackle the issue.
Yeah, let me tell you, there's two things I'll tell you that are fascinating. So just last night, um, in the news, the city of San Francisco has filed a lawsuit against large companies like Kraft that make ultra processed foods. The city of San Francisco, not a state, and it's a city because of the detrimental health effects of ultra processed foods. wow, this is huge. A city going after these large companies saying that they knew that their product was causing all kinds of health effects. So the first thing I did is I wrote that the city attorney, David Chu, and I said, hey, what about artificial light? What about ultra processed light? It's the same problem, massive health impacts. I think that we're going to see this at some point, that cities, maybe cities, if it's not going to be at state level or not going to be at the federal level, they're going to start saying, hey, you sold us blue rich LED lights and you said that we would save energy, but you knew about these health impacts, that the blue rich light is an environmental carcinogen.
I would
And
say
so
that most lighting manufacturers and specifiers didn't, and that's the problem. There is that the cities would have to sue themselves because they're their lights. The lights belong to the city, right? Most of them. Most of the
is
outdoor
that
lights,
true?
yeah, most of the outdoor
Mhm.
lights in any town, they belong to the town.
They don't
And
belong to the utility company?
Greg, what do you think? I think
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's utility.
sometimes,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. Yeah.
But I don't know if big law. I mean, you guys are the best at that in the States, the big lawsuits. I'm not sure that I'm not sure. Like I don't know what how San Francisco could sue Kraft. It doesn't make any sense to me. But
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
it's really strange that a municipality would be for what? Like who gets the money, right? That's if they win. It just seems like lawyers getting rich to me. But there's got to be a way where there's got to be a point at which this issue is accepted as pollution, and um, the number one, uh, the lighting industry is the number one thing preventing that. If the lighting industry just acknowledged what it I think already knows to be true, Mark, then we wouldn't have to wait anymore. But I don't know. It's like people don't want to admit they're wrong or something like that. They'd rather just hope it goes away and make incremental changes. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so
Well, we have developed just recently our own proposed lighting ordinances that we will be distributing to cities as we interact with cities. Now, Dark Sky has their own proposals, and lots of cities have their lighting ordinances, but they didn't adjust for LEDs, the power, the intensity, the blue rich problems. So we get a lot of requests for help with neighbor to neighbor lights, for example. This is just the worst. The neighbor buys some kind of outdoor light for security. They turn it on, they leave it on all night, and it's blasting the person next door. They're trying everything they can to get sleep, right? And then what are the laws to help them? Well, the cities don't really want to. They don't come out at night for code enforcement. So our proposal, and we'll be refining this over time for lighting ordinances, when you have the ordinances in place, when you have the standards in place, then the lighting industry has to, abide by those. And so they can start selling their shields and such, and how placement, and say, here are the codes for this town. And this is what we have to sort of, abide by.
Greg, I think the number one opportunity in the lighting industry is the abatement of light pollution or night pollution. I think it's actually
Yeah.
the lighting industry is looking at it the wrong way. It's the number one opportunity. We'll give the last word to Mark here in a second, but first I want you guys to go right now to KeystoneTech.com because it's easy and they're big. Big easy, Greg Ehrich.
That's right. For all lighting needs, the service, the people, the background, the company, the history, they've got it all. Keystone's the one.
KeystoneTech.com, and of course the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Go to NAILD.org. And of course, if you want to support Mark's work, you go to SoftLights.org. Click the donate link. You can go to RestoringDarkness.com. There's a donate button there. And then there's another button that says donate directly to SoftLights. Mark, final thoughts on this journey into. I was proud that I was part of it. I was proud that I'm not going to say we started it, but that we really lit a fire under it at NAILD and with all the podcasts we produce and our open letters and all that kind of stuff. Mark, give me your final word.
Well, Michael, I really appreciate this opportunity to be associated with you and Greg. It's been eye-opening for me, and I've learned so much. And we're going to be continuing this mission. So if this show is shutting down, that doesn't mean the end of our mission. And everybody out there listening, please consider protecting the darkness. It's an important resource. Protecting people with disabilities, they're important too. And I guess thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thanks, Mark.